Hi guys, welcome to Style and Direction, a classic menswear podcast, but without the stuffiness. This is your host, Ethan Wong.
And I'm your other host, Spencer, Powerhouse Audie.
Ooh, Powerhouse. Is that going to be your new nickname?
I have a nickname now.
Spencer P. Audie?
Yeah, it stands for P, like urine.
Penis Parker.
Penis Parker. I love pizza time.
Pizza time with Penis Parker.
Yeah.
So I just said this on the we're live right now on Instagram just like we did last time.
Yep. You can't ask us questions now though,
because you can't ask us questions live.
It's a past.
Yeah, it's in the past, but we've got like 9 people right now watching us record the podcast.
Facebook owns Instagram, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so Mark fucking Zuckerberg is ruining our lives.
Zuck the cuck.
Because
we can't go live together for some reason.
This has happened every single goddamn time.
And it's funny because when I look at all the people who are currently live or watching, I can add everyone or almost everyone except Spencer, who is literally the only person I would ever go live with.
Because, okay, just in case listeners aren't following up on all the hip Instagram news, there's a new feature where you can go live with someone else. So we're going to go live and we're going to both be able to answer questions. But that's not happening because Mark Zuckerberg has his finger on the button that says ruin Spencer life. There's no apostrophe S on Spencer. Which is weird.
When you watch A Social Network, it's like, I know he made it to like spite his girlfriend played by Rooney Mara, but it's actually like, hey, you know this kid Spencer's gonna be born like, well, actually you were already born.
I was born in 2000.
But I'm gonna ruin that guy's fucking life.
Yeah.
Social media wise, I'm just gonna be like, fuck you, Spencer. Anyway, so all the Zuck hate aside, today is kind of an important day, and I actually didn't know it was happening because
it's the royal wedding.
It's the royal wedding. Prince Harry and his girlfriend, Princess
Meghan Markle.
I was gonna say Princess Leia, but
okay, I don't like the royals that much, so
I don't really care.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really follow. It's like I don't follow like the first family ever, so I don't really follow the other countries. So, suck on that, famous politicians.
The real important day is I was hoping you were going to say it, but it's the blog's third
it's the
anniversary
blog's
birthday.
Third. It's been 3 years since I started the blog. Literally on this day.
Yeah.
In
OTD.
Yeah, OTD. 2015.
What a year. Oh god.
I know it's been a long ass time.
I just forgot it was 2018. Kind of.
Like what's happened in the past 3 years in the world?
Oh shit! Like a lot, dude.
I know. Vine died. R.I.P. Vine.
Yep, that's actually the most significant thing that's happened since the year of our Lord 2015.
Right.
Actually, which is weird. Vine came and went.
What else happened?
That's it.
That's all that matters. That's literally all that matters.
Yeah,
hold on. My dad just sent me a text message asking what kind of pizza I would like.
What is the answer?
So this is some great content. I used to love cheese pizza as a kid, but then it changed. I mean, I still like cheese pizza, but I'm just asking him to put on spinach and meatballs.
Okay, so is this the first change? Like we were going to talk about like things that have changed in the past 3 years. Is that the first one? You now eat spinach pizza?
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, I think because I mean, like, yeah, I was really plain as a kid, like a long time ago. Like, not like I mean, yeah, I only ate like plain pizza, plain burgers, and I still do occasionally. Like, if it's a specialty burger at like a restaurant that's been known for its specialty burger, yeah, I'll have that. But yeah, so like now I've definitely widened my taste. So I guess you could say palate maturity has happened in the past 3 years. If that's what matters, you know. So I'm gonna text my dad back real quick here.
I thought you did that.
No, I can't because I'm on my computer and I can't because I'm live on my Instagram thing.
Oh my god.
I'm just gonna tell him right now spinach and meatballs with Hut favorite crust.
Hut's favorite
Personal
Bib Fortuna
and pizza.
That's Hut's favorite.
And this is our sponsored post by Pizza Hut.
Thanks,
No,
Pizza Hut. They gave
wake
us
up.
$1 million.
I know, right? Yeah. Wake up with the Hut. That's not what it is. It's wake up with the King. I think, right?
God,
Isn't
do
it?
you remember that commercial where the Burger King was in that kid's bedroom?
Yes.
That's
Oh,
so
God,
creepy. Why did they
yeah.
do that?
I have no idea. God.
That was probably on air in 2015.
That's true. It probably was.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
That's way old. Anyway, so we're basically going to be talking about the fact that, what's been changing in the blog, how we've grown since then, because Spencer and I have actually known each other
Probably like a year before.
A year before that, yeah. And can you just, our first time we met, it was like really random. I think you were like, "Hey, let's go get Bruxy," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna bring my friend Jeremiah, just so in case
Things get weird."
Spencer, yeah, in case he gets weird, and in case Spencer is a weirdo.
And good thing you brought him.
No, oh my God, my dad thought I wanted a personal pan pizza. No, I want a large pizza for large pizza pan size. Jesus Christ. Okay.
He's gonna eat an entire pizza by yourself.
I'm gonna eat an entire pizza. There's definitely The Office for that, right? Like where he's like, where they're like, "Oh yeah, Andy, it's great being a bachelor," and then he's like, "I just ate an entire pizza by myself over the sink like an animal," and it's like a really awkward moment, but I love that. I actually made that into a GIF because I was really heartbroken at the time.
Oh my God!
And I had never actually dated someone at that time. This is like back in high school, and so yeah, talk about maturity, right, guys? So anyway, basically, I don't know how many of you guys know how. Do you know how I started the blog, Spencer?
You were on like a camping trip or something like that, right?
That kind of was so. I think.
Yeah, well, that was. You told me to write a few questions down, and my first thing was, what inspired you to start the blog, and what was it going to be like? So,
I've always wanted to write a blog. Just in general, I had Tumblr. I had Instagram, and on Tumblr I would write these like really corny "How to Be a Gentleman" stuff and answer questions about
I want to find
romance.
those.
You will never find them because I think I deleted all of them. But yeah, that's why I've always wanted to like, kind of blog about stuff, and I thought I was gonna be. I used to make vlogs with a V on YouTube way back when. I deleted all those. But I remember I was on a car trip with Tim going to San Francisco. And we were we were barely friends at this point. We had lunch a few times. We have mutual friends together. But he said that one of his dreams was to make a blog, and I was like, oh, okay. So in my head, I'm like, okay, well, if I become friends with this guy, he really likes streetwear. I really like suits, kind of. If we made this kind of combination blog, it would really motivate. We could motivate each other to make something that I haven't seen before. And obviously, I think it's been done before because the Articles of Style kind of did both. There are plenty of style bloggers who do both. But I thought I was onto something really cool. And we had both talked about it because I think our trip was in November. And none of us had done anything about it. And I was sitting in my business law class, which is 4 hours long.
Ooh, God.
On I think either the first or the second week of school, which is why it's January 8th. And I was like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm gonna make a WordPress account because that's free. And so I made a WordPress account. I said, okay, I can't think of anything. I'm gonna call it Street Sprezza because streetwear and sprezzatura. And
you regret the name now, right?
Yeah. Well, I kind of do. I mean, it's been what? It's literally been 3 years.
Yeah, to the day.
To literally the day, and
that we're recording, not that this is being released, probably.
Yeah, this is probably gonna come out later on during the week. But it's been kind of synonymous, and I just kind of call it when I talk about it, it's just called my blog or Ethan's blog. I don't really call it by its name, but because of so much SEO and how many links they go to it right now, like there's a whole bunch on Reddit that goes to it whenever someone brings up vintage. So I kind of don't see how I can change it as of right now until I come up with a better name, and I literally can't think of anything that hasn't been taken already. So anyway, that's how it started. I made my first article called "The 3 Styles of Business,"
which we had
briefly talked about this earlier. Yeah, we were talking about it on the phone right before a little while ago,
like an hour ago.
Yeah, like an hour ago, and I guess if you're in the Facebook group, I link to it. But it's basically kind of like our typical blog post where we talk about kind of what we're wearing, a little bit of context behind it, what makes the pieces work. Raj is wearing a very kind of like a preppy kind of combination where he's wearing like some sort of OCBD or some gingham shirt with like a tie, chinos, loafers, and like a down vest, which I think is kind of cool. It's very classic. My friend Matt is wearing, I mean, he's not a fashion guy, but he was dressed up for the moment. So I took a picture of him. He's wearing like a blue blazer with like a blue shirt and like brown pants, which, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not the most interesting thing.
Yeah, we were talking about this where I was like, a lot of those outfits, like you wouldn't like bother to mention anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm wearing one of the most ridiculous things I could ever wear ever. So where should I start? Should I start top to bottom? So I'm wearing I'm wearing a floral button-down casual shirt from The Gap with a green merino sweater. Now, mind you, the floral shirt is blue and green, so I'm getting this kind of a green thing going. And then on top of that, I'm wearing a black watch blazer with white buttons and white elbow pads.
Oh God, I did not notice the white elbow pads.
It's got white elbow pads, and it's tucked into black jeans. Well, not the blazer, but everything else is like the shirt's tucked into black jeans that are kind of cuffed really high.
Really, really high.
With white socks.
Hey, but you're into that.
Wingtip Oxfords. Yeah, I mean, I'm into white socks now, but I'm definitely not into doing that whole thing.
Yeah.
And so looking back, the reason why I did it is because, everyone had thought of me as a vintage guy, By this point, I was already pretty internet famous, like on Tumblr, kind of, and more so Facebook, because I would post my pictures on the Fedora Lounge Facebook group, and people had seen me from that. I had my own Instagram, and I wanted to kind of push the fact that I was like a modern guy too. Like I wasn't always about wearing super pleated pants with fedoras all the time.
And so you were like, I just got to go super modern.
I gotta go. That's the most modern thing I can think of. Well, florals are in.
If I recall correctly, wasn't like a close-up of that outfit, that used to be like the cover photo or whatever for the blog, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. It used to be. It was straight up the cover photo. And I don't even know. I mean, I think that's like copyright infringement because I'm wearing a pin that says it pays to look well. And that's the pin from General Quarters, which is like a Americana workwear store on Brea in LA. So technically I don't know about that one, but yeah, that was straight up what the blog header is. I mean, now it's another close up, but it's more of me in a suit, and I think it's going to change soon. I guess it's been a while.
New year, new pick. It's been a
long time.
I just had to get that out there.
Yeah.
So when you started the blog, was it going to? We talked a little bit about this on the phone.
Oh yeah,
but we stopped. But was it going to be kind of like a guide, like most menswear blogs are, where it's like, here's how you can wear like fucking khakis, or was it always just going to be you talking about your style and not being like, I don't give it, you don't need to know how to do this. Let me just show you.
You mean like how it is now?
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah. So it's. I don't know. Looking back, talking with Tim, I think we both kind of want to be influencers, and I followed both the dandy guys from the book I Am Dandy. It's a whole bunch of guys like the guys from Herman, Dandy Wellington, who had that kind of vintage, like very extravagant vintage style. But I also liked the super modern guys. Like there was this guy, I don't know, I'm pretty sure he's still alive because he was young-ish, but his name was like Mr. Raro on Instagram, or I forgot, I think that's his brand name, and he would wear like super roped shoulders, like it looks super elegant, and bright, like like a pink suit, white buttons, all that kind of stuff, like the most pitty umo thing that you could think of. And I looked up to these guys, and I know those guys were designers, they had their own thing, but I really wanted to be an influencer because I thought that I could be, get these sponsorships. And of course, talking with Tim, who definitely has a streetwear vibe to him, where he likes Yeezys, but back in the day, he liked, I actually think Yeezys were here in 2015.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, so I think it was like our common goal to be famous, to get to that point where we could get sponsorships, reviews all under the guise of, we're helping you dress better. So to answer your question, I think we did want to do guides, because as a college student at a very small Seventh-day Adventist school, which is my religion of choice, if you want to call it that.
And I do.
And we do. But, guys don't really dress up. None of my friends really dressed up other than Spencer, but again, that's for vintage.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, I need to show people how to do it. And, you start off small with a very small audience. And so you hope that whoever reads it will learn something. And so, of course, when I started out, it was like, oh, did you guys know that you could hem your pants, or you can get slim pants? You don't have to go to menswear house and buy fucking wide leg pants or whatever. And and if you look back through the blog, I've only deleted a few blog posts because I like to keep stuff there so I can look back at it, and of course other people can see how far we've progressed.
Wait, I didn't know you deleted any blog posts. Do you know which ones?
Ones with Fran in it.
Oh, okay.
My ex-girlfriend. Actually, I ended up bringing some of them back. I just kind of removed her from it because there were some coupley pictures there. I did delete one review for these bow ties. Okay, so that's a good example, and that's actually fairly recent. I think it was in the past 2 years where I got a review.
So wait, the blog has been around for 3 years, and fairly recent is 2 years.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I got an offer to do a review of these bow ties that were just god awful. They felt like polyester. They were really tacky. One was like an American print, or had an American print pocket square, and I was still in the stage of like, I need to differentiate vintage and modern. So I really went all in on the modern thing. Like, not only with that really tacky bow tie pocket square combination, but saying, oh, you can have like anchors as a pocket square. You can do tie clips that are fishing hooks or something like that. I really went all in on it, and that's kind of how the blog was back in 2015, maybe early 2016. Wearing t-shirts and suits, or and not even in the good way that I would maybe do it now, but just like really just wearing like a t-shirt suit with like Aldo sneakers or stuff like that.
I'm hoping that if we're still doing this podcast in 3 years, I hope that we can look back and be like, remember how bad it was in the beginning?
Oh, I think we will. We're probably going to be doing this forever.
But I'm saying that that would necessitate us improving. So here's to that.
Right. Yeah. Cheers.
The Thrift Ensemble had a question.
Yeah. I think I saw
How
that.
did you grow your blog audience, and how long did that take? So, at what point did your blog start exploding?
Right. So, I would say I count the blog in its current iteration between 2 years and a year and a half ago. When we look back to the beginning, there was a really big disconnect, because not only did Tim not write a lot of content, which again is why I don't really include him as being like a true member of the blog. It was two things. It was literally like me going to vintage events with Spencer, and me doing super modern stuff. And I really didn't like that, and I felt like both was kind of being disingenuous to who I was. And of course, maybe at the time I thought that I would stop doing vintage or I'd stop doing modern, and eventually it came to a head when I discovered the Armory about 2 years ago, year and a half ago. And as I've said in the blog post recently, as I've said in different people who ask me this stuff on Instagram, I'm like, wow, this is what I want to do. Like, this is my aesthetic. And I've already been posting on MFA, Male Fashion Advice, the subreddit, for about 2.5 years, because I was featured on Articles of Style, which is what brought me a little bit of traction. And even then, it was mainly the vintage articles, not really the modern stuff. And then I think the Gentleman's Gazette at the end of that year, so the end of 2015, so early 2016, I had already started writing more about vintage. And anyway, I was featured by the Gentleman's Gazette about wearing suits, and that got me a lot of traction. And I think all that, when I talked about the Armory before, I think all that happened at the end of 2015, early 2016. And that's when it was like, I need to make this change into writing about classic menswear. I didn't even know it was called classic menswear back then. I just was like doing it Ethan style. Like I was like, I can achieve this armory look by using vintage and vintage-esque items. And obviously I didn't want to alter a lot of my vintage clothing. I didn't want to taper my 40s clothing because the amount of tapering that you do on those clothes, it usually necessitates that you have to cut out the excess fabric because it's a lot you take in. So I didn't want to do that. So that's when I began thrifting. Like I didn't thrift until fairly recently.
You got your stuff at like Banana Republic or like
all the modern
stuff like that.
Yeah, all the modern stuff is all H&M, and then I had a whole bunch of vintage clothes, and trying to find that middle ground was when I started thrifting and actually going on eBay for things other than 30s and 40s clothing.
Yeah.
Because, I still...
I'm doing that for the first time recently, and I wish I hadn't because I'm going to be spending a lot of money.
And I was telling you this before too, Spencer, like, doing this whole overhaul of my wardrobe took a lot of time and a lot of money.
Yeah. Because that's what we're going to get into this later, how our own personal style has evolved later. But I'm currently in the middle, like I want to overhaul my wardrobe, like 75-80% of it. So
yeah, see, like
sucks.
And I mean, there's nothing, and if we segue to that a little bit, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
yeah,
it took me. I mean, I was already writing for a year and a half until I decided to change it, and I spent a lot of money. I mean, I had to sell off some of my vintage clothes too. Stuff I don't wear anymore that I thought I would wear forever. But I think the lesson to learn from that is it's never too late. Your style journey will always keep expanding.
Yeah.
And I was telling Spencer about this today, where I was looking at these Padmore and Barnes shoes. These they're called the P204 boot, but they're basically the Wallaby from Clark's, except a little bit better. And they're like totally weird. They look like a moccasin, like a desert boot combined, with like a really thick crepe sole that has no heel. Like it's like a block. And I'm digging this thing, and if you look back when I was first started the blog, I would be like, you only need dress shoes.
Yep.
So it's like, we keep growing. I think, and something that I just thought of right now as well is that when I first started the blog, I had like no semblance of casual style. When I would go out with my ex-girlfriend, I would always be in a suit or some form of like dress pant. I remember one time like she was sick, so we went to get soup, and I was wearing a turtleneck and like a blazer, and she was like in pajamas, and and that's my fault. That's I never wanted to be dressed down because I felt like I had to be dressed up all the time, that I had to have this persona of being classy, and in the end, being dressed up doesn't mean you always have good style. Just because you're wearing a suit does not mean you look good.
Yeah. And what is like the phrase that you pops up on like MFA or whatever is like dressing up does not equal dressing well.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And it couldn't be more true, and my casual style has really improved. I think it actually what started like last year, like me actually striving to be different, and maybe that was a New Year's resolution thing. But now the blog has really exploded. Now it's not just about suits. I mean, yeah, mainly it's about suits and vintage clothing. But, there are times when I'm like, hey, I really want to talk about these new jeans that I picked up, or this T-shirt, or, sneaker or something like that I picked up and I really think people should know about. Because if there are guys like me around, which I'm sure there are, we're in a constant style journey, and you need to have someone that's like you kind of push you in that direction. Like if it's even Spencer, hang out with Spencer, seeing how he wears the sports shirts with jeans and selvage jeans cuffed with boots. I never did that until I actually started looking, okay, who has good casual style, and I looked at Spencer and I'm like, dang, works for him. And to his merit, you haven't changed your casual style in a long time, and I think that's cool. But it's a good thing. Like, it's really consistent, and it has a profound effect on me. And, now I do that kind of, as a part of my own style. I kind of do my own spin on it. I do it more with an SLP kind of vibe with black jeans and Chelsea boots, which, could you say is tangentially related to how Spencer does it, the classic Americana way. So, that whole playing back and forth thing has really been a semi-new thing on the blog where I kind of explore my casual style. And also, like, looking at actual other sources of inspiration. Like, I did How to Dress Like the Armory when I first fell in love with them. Maybe a little too much because, I could say I was really obsessed with the Armory. I think we talked about that in the New York episode.
Yeah,
I wrote about them a lot. But, it was a really big difference from before because I would just only talk about random things I felt like people should know, like how to wear floral prints or these random vintage events I went to, but like actually giving advice in a way that was specific to me and how I created my outfits was definitely a new thing. And so far, I think it's been pretty well received by people.
Yeah.
Some people like how they see how my mind works and how I approach making an outfit. And also we've done a lot of guides too, I think.
Yeah, but it's like the guides are different because they're not like, this is how you wear things. It's like, at least the ones that I've helped on, they're like history, like essays.
I think that's a big thing of how the blog has changed too. I think a lot of like the editorial content that isn't like, oh, what we did or this cool event. It's all like, it's like we go into the history of it. We show you how they did it. They being vintage people who lived in the 1920s to the 1960s, and then transferring it over and seeing how you can apply it today.
Yeah,
and I think go ahead.
What really sucks about the vintage scene is how little good content, like good guides there are on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't want the blog to be 100% vintage all the time.
Right.
But it's like when I was, like the best way to get into vintage or to learn more about vintage is talking to people, because right now the only resources out there are like the Fedora Lounge, which is like mostly dead and also just bad in general, and Vintage Dancer basically. Like,
yeah, I mean, I will say the Fedora Lounge definitely helps with some stuff. Like we have friends in there who do give good advice, and they've given us advice. But yeah, like in general, it's not the greatest. And I'm proud to say that my blog is one of the few places on the internet that you can go to get that kind of advice. And I will say, based on a comment we got a little while ago, that it definitely does have a bias for like more of the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
And I'm referring to this guy who was like, the 1920s don't look like that. And I'm like, yes, they do. But we also picked some of the weirder stuff because we don't really wear 20 stuff. And we do think it's a little bit weird and a little bit harder to wear today.
Because that's another thing that, like, especially with my style journey.
Right.
That's such a pretentious thing to say. Style journey. I hate that phrase.
My style journey.
My 40 days in the desert of style.
What about the temptations of Satan?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I used to, and this is up until semi-recently, like within the last maybe year and a half, I was into like really vintage shit, and I was like, I want it to look vintage. I want people to see that and go like, those are old clothes. And now I'm definitely not
dick.
like that. Yeah, I'm like, what? That's a fucking dorky thing to do. That was like definitely very costumey, and so I'm kind of like style jacked you because I was like, how can I wear this and not feel like a goober? And then I was like, oh, I could look at like the kind of like Ivy stuff that's been in fashion for the past 70 years and hasn't really changed much.
Spoiler alert, guys, Ivy is great.
Yeah. And I remember you weren't even that into Ivy, like even just like a year or two ago.
No, I mean that just shows you how like,
like no I tried to show you some Ivy thing and you're like, I'm not into this.
I mean, I don't even know why. Like, looking back, I don't know what to tell you because I don't even know how I got dressed doing vintage. Like, I don't think there was any specific look that I was doing. I just kind of paired random stuff together, and maybe just the eye that I had, it would just automatically look good. Because
wow.
Okay, I'm saying that because back in those days when I was making a vintage outfit, I only had like white and blue spear points, like that was it, and I would wear those guys forever. And so that's like that's one less thing to think about. And you compare that with like a full suit, and then no matter what crazy tie you have, it'll be hidden, it'll be all, well, not hidden, but like grounded in, right?
Yeah.
So technically it's you couldn't do any wrong. Now that I have more shirts and suits and pants and combination that that a guy could ask for, the propensity for mistakes could happen. Back when I first started, I couldn't do anything wrong. Like I would just, it was all blue and brown jackets and suits and whatever. I just combined them, white shirt, and maybe have like a crazy swing tie, but that was it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why people liked it, because I mean it wasn't as crazy. And the secret was because I didn't have a lot of it. But I guess the weirdest part that I would do is I'd wear like a fedora.
Yep.
But to counter Spencer's your I guess theme of like I want to look vintage, like that's like a fuck you to everybody. My thing was like, oh, I want to look how I want to look, and I don't care what anyone else thinks. And I didn't want to wear sneakers or jeans or t-shirts. Like I wanted to wear suits, and because these were the only suits that I had, I wore them a lot. And it didn't matter if I was going to the Buca de Beppo with my friends for my friend's birthday. It didn't matter if I was going to the store. I would get dressed up.
I think we both talked about this in one of the other episodes. But we like before either of us had a job where we could. Well, I mean, I think since we've known each other, you've always had a job where you could get dressed up, right? Because you were working at your university or something like that, or with an accounting firm.
Yeah, I did an accounting firm. Yeah.
But before I had that, I took every single opportunity I could to get dressed up, and most of the time it was ridiculously out of place because we live in Southern California where
that's another big thing.
Yeah, no one wears a tie down here unless you work at like a menswear store. That's basically it.
No, I mean, that's really true. But on that note, I think that working in menswear definitely has a big effect on you. It doesn't matter if you work at the Men's Warehouse where, your fellow man might not dress as well as you do. But I mean, I worked at Banana Republic where my coworkers had great style, but they weren't wearing suits. They were wearing like casual stuff. But it kind of, it puts what you wear into a context. Like you're not dressing for yourself. Now you're dressing for your job. You're
exactly,
dressing for
and that's why I started
coworkers.
getting more into wearing stuff that just like looked good and didn't just look vintage.
No, yeah, that's exactly it. Like for me, it's like, okay, how do I like not stand out, but I also want to look like me, but I also want to look natural. And I think that's looking natural. I think is the biggest theme. I think for both of us, and obviously there were a few blog posts that I did while I was still in Banana Republic that are, you can see the seeds of it being sown, like of me changing my style a little bit. There is, from what I remember, I used to get all my pants tapered. Like when I realized, I'm like, oh man, I can't wear wide pants because wide pants are so are so vintage. I tapered all my pants to be like 6 and 3/4, which is like jean, like my skinny jean territory. And I would wear those like all the time. And I spent a lot of money getting like my 5 to 7 pairs of pants, all my chinos, all my suit pants, all of them tapered. And then I found like the Armory, and I was looking at it, and also not just the Armory, but Shibumi Berlin or Shibumi Forenzi, which is now run by Benedict Frias, and he would wear high-waisted pants. And Article of Style actually did an article about him as well, and I was like, whoa, high-waisted, that's cool. So I started pulling my pants up, but then I thought my pants were too short. And then I had them like let down. Then I tried to get them let out, and then I realized, this is ridiculous. I just need totally new pants because these are not working.
Yep. And so you sold everything to Jay.
Yeah. And then when I didn't sell to him, I just kind of gave away. But yeah, see, like that took a lot of money and and a lot of time too. And even then, like I rebought some stuff at Banana Republic. I got them hemmed differently. I wore them higher, added suspender buttons, added cuffs, and then fast forward to now where I kind of thrift. I buy I thrift all my pants, or I buy on eBay. I get like Ralph Lauren or like 60s pants, which are still wider, which have a naturally high rise, so you don't get like a camel toe when you just wear them high.
Yep.
And so all those pants that I got that were still straight legged, but they were like from J. Crew or from Banana Republic, I just gave those away. Again, to either Jay or some of my other friends, because I had moved on from that. Like I found another way to get the aesthetic that I looked for. And maybe it's cheating because, I should have been saving my money or whatever. And some people would be like, well, if you just stuck with classic clothing, you wouldn't have had to spend that money. But I don't think I would have ever gotten to that phase, if I just...
And we don't we don't know, our styles might change again. Like, who knows? Maybe in a year that one blog post you wrote about like fucking Rick Owens or whatever, that's just gonna be you all the time.
Exactly. And the funny thing is that I do like a lot of the high end, or not high end, but like
Esoteric.
high fashion stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe not Rick Owens, but more of the Japanese kind, like wide legged, high waist stuff, which appeal to me because it has those kind of roots in classic menswear, or at least I think that there are roots there. But yeah, you never know where it's going to take you, and maybe then Street Sprezza, the name will be forever pertinent because of that of that pursuit of whatever aesthetic that will be. But yeah, that's... Yeah. Did you have another question? Did you have another topic?
We basically, I had like 3, and we basically covered everything. But I mean, we could talk about our views toward, because I feel like our views towards other fashion trends has also changed, because you were talking about how like you needed to be dressed up all the time. I'm not sure if you were this. I was like this brief. Well, not briefly. I was like this a long time ago. I want to make clear I'm no longer like this, where I was like, dressing up is the only way to go, and it's like that's it's like that shows you're respecting, like whatever you're doing. And
Jesus, I hate that one.
Yeah, if you're not dressed up, it's like you're not putting in as much effort. This is the only way to look good. And now I'm definitely not like that. So were you ever kind of way more? Were you ever way more pretentious about it?
Did you drop something?
I did.
Nice. Did you drop the bass?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay, great.
Were you?
Did you drop that duntana?
I did. Don't drop that duntana.
Okay, got it.
But yeah,
was I ever that pretentious?
Yeah, were you ever pretentious?
Oh man. Okay, so this is kind of a bad memory for me. But I definitely remember a time when I was with my friends. We were looking at Dapper Day, and this was, I was still very known for my Dapper Day outfits, but not for being modern. And I would look at these, the Dapper Day coverage, and I would be like, "That's bad." And I was very vocal about it. That someone actually got up and left because they couldn't take the negativity.
Oh God!
Like I was complaining a lot. I'm like, "That guy's awful." Blah 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 blah. All that kind of stuff, and that memory's always been in my head because I don't want to be that guy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure some of it kind of flares up once in a while. When I wrote the article on how to dress vintage in the modern day, I definitely have a picture of a guy wearing suspenders over a vest. But in my defense, that is fucking awful, and no one should do that.
It's bad.
But at Dapper Day now, like I don't care anymore. And I guess it's also a bad thing because I don't take pictures of other people there anymore because I really don't care about them.
Yeah.
It's kind of just turned into like, it's a little bit passive aggressive, but it's also like I want to focus on like my friends and what we're doing, not necessarily trying to do street style in order to get all the SEO that you could want.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely. Actually, yeah, let's talk about it that way. So I think maybe not pretentious, but more of like selfish and self-centered. Like a lot of what I would do was in the pursuit of more views, more followers. And I definitely don't like that. I don't want to be that guy ever again. But going to all this stuff, wearing clothing I didn't want to wear or I didn't feel was right, was all like I wanted to be this famous guy. And and I guess that comes with it a little bit of pretentiousness, like, oh, I've got style and they don't, and I don't want my friends to dress up all the time. Like I'd force my friends to dress up to be in the blog post, that way I could include them, that way they could share it, and then I would get more views because they have their own audiences. So if you want to talk about how my audiences got bigger, that's one way. But
you make your friends promote you,
right? And then now it's kind of flipped because now I now I'm able to do my own content fairly quickly, and I'll take pictures of my friends and they'll be like, "Hey, can I have the pictures now? Because I want to post it." And I'll be like, "Hold on, dude, I'm not done yet."
Yep. And I don't really post them. I don't post them to vintage groups anymore.
Yeah, I think that's. Oh, let's talk about that. I think that now the blog has evolved past vintage groups. We don't have to share it within it,
Because we're still friends with a lot of vintage people. The Southern California vintage scene is is a lot of fun. But at the same time, like I think our philosophies are much different than theirs in a lot of things, including just clothing. Because like some of the things I was talking about, it's like we were talking about how you want to dress to not necessarily stand out. We have friends that would be like, why? Like, why don't you want to stand out and stuff like that? Be like very obvious, and like
and that works for them. I don't think it works for me. Mm-hmm. Oh, excuse me, I just burped.
Nice.
But God, I'm just full of gas. You might as well call me a Neptune or something, man.
I will.
Thanks. Well, I should have said Jupiter because that's the gas giant.
I think they both are, but I don't know that much about astronomy.
Right. What a pleb, dude. How do you not know about astronomy? What about astrology?
Not much there. I don't even know what my sign is.
You don't know M. Night Shyamalan's Signs?
I do know that one.
Okay. I haven't seen it.
I have.
Nice. We should watch it again.
Okay, sure, yeah.
But what was I gonna say?
You're talking about the vintage scene.
Oh, yeah. And I think, again, the Armory definitely has a big influence here because they look natural. Mm-hmm. And I realized that no one... I don't mean this in a bad way, but people in the vintage community don't really look as natural. Maybe it's because I'm very aware of the surroundings. Like, oh, this guy drives a Prius, but he's vintage. Mm-hmm. You don't look like I don't give a fuck. It looks like I give a lot of fucks about looking vintage, which is kind of what Spencer said. Like, I want people to know that I'm wearing vintage.
Yeah.
And that works for people. I'm not really that flamboyant of a person, and so I just didn't. I was like, I'm going to put my hands in my pockets. I'm going to smile and be normal. I'm not going to do some fucking, like, grab my lapels and stand all straight and stiff and pose and be, look like a fucking black and white photograph or something like that, And I guess that's what separates us from the vintage people. And, of course,
that's what like, separates man from animals.
Yeah. But, I mean, you can look at the vintage people and look at candids, and, of course, they're not serious all the time. They definitely have a sense of humor, But I'm talking about, like, in terms of, like, branding-wise, maybe. I don't know. And, of course, those people don't care about branding. They don't have a blog. They're just there to live their life. And I think that's also a big deal because, I feel not necessarily it's my manifest destiny, but, it's like it's, you do with what you're given, and if it's my platform to talk about vintage and how to incorporate vintage to make a modern, classic, whatever you want to call it, look, then I gotta uphold that, And of course, as my fashion changes, I will change that ethos as well. But that's what it is right now, and so I don't want to be a fake person. If that makes
You hate fake people.
I hate phonies. He's a big phony.
Family Guy. Oh, okay, sure.
I was doing a. That's a Family Guy thing, right?
No, but they take it from Catcher in the Rye.
No, I've never seen that movie.
It's a book.
I know it's a joke, people.
Okay.
I don't know what they catch in that rye bread.
Yep.
But yeah, I think how was your was it really just working at Men's Warehouse for you that made you want to be like I gotta fucking not be so weird?
No, kind of, but also like going to. So I went to a very small high school that had 300 people and everybody knew me. Where everybody knows my name.
He went to the Cheers High School.
I went to Cheers, and it's like
Cheers.
So I didn't really have to like make a first impression dressed like a fucking dumbass. Like people knew me and I dressed like a dumbass. And like that was fine. And then I started going to college where nobody knew me, and I was like, if I look like a clown, I'm not gonna make any friends.
You see, I wish I had that because, like, when I went to college, I kind of just went in on it. Like I went all in. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily wearing suits, but I was like the only guy to wear like a tie and like a gingham shirt. Like, I would look like Ben White. I think I've said that like multiple times on this podcast, but I really liked how Ben White dressed, and also MFA loves Ben White, so I can see why. But yeah, when I started, and there was this girl who was kind of tomboyish, very nice. She was the president of the student association of the college, doing all social events, and she would have very, I hate to say this, but dapper look. She would wear sport coats. She would wear like OCBDs with a tie. And I remember like when she like near the end of that year, because she was a senior, I was a freshman. She said, I never thought someone would wear more ties than I would, but that's you, Ethan. And I was like, whoa. And at the time, I thought that was a really big compliment, because I was like, whoa, I'm out dressing the best dressed person here. But looking back, I'm like, wow, everyone knew me as that dude.
Yeah, exactly.
And I
no longer
don't
wanted
like
to be
that.
I didn't want to be that guy when I went into college.
Think
anymore.
of how much girls we would have gotten, or I would have gotten.
I'm gonna be honest, that's also part of it. It doesn't help. Okay, this is like definitely part of it. So I have fucking like Methuselah syndrome or whatever. It's the fake disease from Blade Runner, where I look 20 years older than I am. Dressing like an old man does not help that.
I play this game with every with every person I meet that has that knows me from Instagram. I always ask them, "Hey, how old do you think Spencer is?" And so I always play that game.
It sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Some of them ask me like, "Why don't you live with Spencer?" Because I'm like, "Spencer lives at home." And he's like, "Oh wait, he lives at home? How? Like what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's like 20." And they're like, "What?"
Yeah, seriously. So it's like I try to dress more. I still wear old clothes, but I try not to dress so like old man.
Right, and I think
anymore.
For me, it's kind of like if people look at my story, I try and subvert the image that Ethan's always in suits. Like I kind of take pictures like I'm in pajamas or, I'm out with my friends, because I want to prove to people that even though I still look fairly modern-ish with my suits, like I also want to show people that I'm not always in a suit.
Yeah.
So, because I don't really take pictures of that very often. But I mean, yeah, dude, the effect of girls on that decision, though, is a very big one.
Yep. Same.
I don't think I have any pictures of me wearing a suit on my Tinder profile. No, I do have one.
I have one, and that's again because I don't want to have too many, because then they're gonna think I'm an old man who's has his settings to 18 to 22-year-olds.
Actually, I think I have two, because one of them is me giving the presentation that we had at Dapper Day, because I want to be like, oh look, that's the reason why he's wearing it, because he's a fashion blogger.
Yeah.
So that's why it's there. But yeah, I mean, so where do you see yourself as you progress in your style, Spencer? I mean, obviously, you just said that you're still working on trying to make it more natural and more modern.
I'm still working on it. It's like I still think I'm getting less into like 100% vintage all the time. Obviously, right. I'm still gonna, I think, incorporate a lot more vintage pieces than you might in your everyday life. No offense, but yeah, I mean,
what do you mean by vintage? Like 30s, 40s?
Yeah, 30s, 40s stuff.
But
I mean, it's also like, and again, it's basically I'm just trying to. Sorry, I burped now.
Nice.
I'm basically just gonna steal your style, but put my own little twist on it. That's slightly more, I guess, professory. I don't know, how, like rugged kind of, because I'm into more like rough fabrics and brown and stuff like that.
I mean, I am
kind
too.
of workwear, but yeah, I mean, I'm that's kind of what I'm gonna be into. I think that's kind of what I'm going for.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because one of my fits recently got one of the top of MFA. For the year, last obviously 2017, the top 100. I made the 3rd, 5th, and 6th fits.
Damn.
Yeah, and one of them is me wearing a suit with loafers. So let me break it down again. So it's a blue suit with a black polo, with black loafers and gray socks. It's a very minimal look. That's something that admittedly, if I was starting out, I probably would not have worn, because it's not either flashy enough, it's incorporating an Ivy suit as opposed to a 30 suit or whatever. But I think that's a good example of like how my my tastes have changed, and even the comments were like, we're very impressed by what you did, because it's like we never thought that you could improve, but you obviously can. And it's again, it's hard to think about how you can improve with suits, right? Because you think that it's always going to be sport coat, pants, tie, shirt, whatever, and the changes are always so minuscule that only yourself or another keen-eyed menswear nerd will notice.
Exactly.
But what I found is that you can change it up. You can wear like this past summer I would do like t-shirts and trousers, and with like loafers or espadrilles, something that's definitely different than what the traditional Ivy or vintage guy would wear, or something like that. I've increased, my use of jeans and sneakers, workwear, with short coats and everything. So I think that there's always going to be a way to improve within classic menswear. It might not be the typical thing of like, the upward, journey of skinny pants to wide leg pants. I think taking the chance to do something a little bit different, something a bit more drastic, I think is needed, and something that you shouldn't be afraid of. But I mean, also, you should be afraid of the money that you're going to spend, because
it's going to be so much money. So much money.
Yeah. Like I'm about to buy some wallabies, which, it's 150 wallabies. R.I.P. Steve Irwin.
But Rocco's Modern Life. He was a wallaby.
Yeah, he was. R.I.P. Zoom Boomafu. That's not. Never mind. I don't think he was Australian.
That's not from that.
No, lemurs aren't Australian. They're not inherently Australian. Never mind. So. I thought there was going to be a little correlation there. But what the hell was I talking about? Yeah, I mean those are some weird fucking shoes that I never thought I would have wanted to buy. Whether I was into vintage or into wearing H&M skinny suits, but hey, I mean that's what I like now. So, we'll see what happens with those bad boys.
Sure will.
That's a pretty good ending right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's pretty inspiring until we started talking about Rocco's Modern Life.
I know, right? I just want to say, it's been 3 years, and I want to say thank you, Spencer, because he's here. Thanks to, my friends like John Huang, Scott, Fran, Jeremiah, Raj. Like, I did a big thank you post in my Instagram account, but I literally would not be here without them, because they take my pictures. I literally wouldn't be able to make any content if they didn't take my picture. And I took a lot of pictures. I still take a lot of pictures, but with their patience and how that I would be like, hey, can you take a picture of me? And they would just sigh and do it. And if I didn't like it, they take it again.
You're a real slave driver.
Yeah, whip, licorice whip. But yeah, I couldn't do without them, and also their support. Not just them, but like everyone, all my family and all my friends who just have to deal with Ethan posting pictures of himself all the time, posting articles and whatnot. I think it's really paid off. I'm in my career now. I have a little bit of notoriety from people that I've looked up to for the past 2 and 3 years. It's resulted in a lot of other great stuff. Just being able to have friends in different continents, different countries. That it's been a really great journey, and I gotta say thank you to everyone for 3 years, and so let's keep it going.
And I have to say thank you to Ethan for putting me on the blog.
Oh yeah,
and I have not made a whole lot of friends from it, but thanks anyway.
Yeah, I think Spencer's written one official article.
I've written one official article, and I've helped on a couple. Speaking of things that are going to change, we talked about this. We want to start on the podcast.
Yes.
We're going to start doing more interview-based content, just because what we have right now.
I think honestly, I think it's more of we've said everything we've wanted to say now.
Yeah, basically. There's the one lost episode about Sprezza, but that's about it.
Yeah, and I think you'll hear our thoughts on fashion as we interview these people, so it's not that big of a deal that you're not gonna get just Ethan and Spencer, and I'm pretty sure that you guys are more than happy for that, because you want that third person.
Yeah.
You can expect guys like Cody Willema from Willema Hat Company, Damien Monsivice from the Monsivice Hat Company. No, Monsivice and Co. That's his thing.
Yep.
And of course many other people. Hopefully we could get big league guys like the Armory or Drake's or something. I've got some contacts, maybe not contacts, but people that I've follow, and I could ask if they wanted to be on some humble 22-year-olds podcast that no one listens to.
Wait, hey, speaking of, you keep talking. I'm gonna go see if we have any more reviews.
Sure. But yeah, we would definitely want to do that. We definitely did a interview with Benny about almost a year ago.
Oh Jesus! That was so. Yeah. I still have the interview logs from that, but it's like, I don't know if you guys know this, but transcribing interviews takes a long time. And
Right,
we
it
were there
does.
for like 3 hours, and transcribing roughly 20 minutes takes about an hour. So it might be better to do these this way.
Right. I think we definitely have to end it now because I think we're running out of time.
Okay.
We'll read the reviews next time.
Yeah.
So if
Please
you want to
send us
follow us,
reviews.
you can,
5 stars.
yeah, please reviews on the iTunes podcast app because that's where it means a lot. Other people can hear about this podcast, especially as we move into the next phase of what we're going to do with this content. If you want to follow us directly, you can follow me on Ethan M. Wong.
I'm Spencer DSO. And
we also post on Style and Direction, spelled all the way through. That is our account across everything, Gmail, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. We haven't figured out a closing yet.
Live long and prosper.
Okay, that's it. Live long and prosper, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Okay, see ya. Bye.